ending this! This is the end.
Alright everyone, JB here. We're back with another Dragon Ball Z video on the channel today. Now today, I'm going to be doing my top 10 characters in the game currently. Because coming up pretty soon, we do have some new characters to come from the Dragon Ball Saga campaign that we're going to be having pretty soon. It's pretty sooner than you think, a couple days from now on the 15th. So I figured why not, right? Let's go ahead and drop this tier list before we get the new units, kind of see how they shape into the meta. Now, we're going to have our top 10 list with also the honorable mentions. That's like how I like to do my tier list. We're going to do something new where we have the potential tier list, which is going to be a couple characters that I think if they either get a Plat or a Zenkai in the future, they could be on this top 10 tier list or even in the honorable mentions. So with that being said, if you're new around here, consider leaving a like on the video and join the channel. Very much appreciate it. And if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like down below. So first things first, before we get started to everything, want everyone to keep in mind that I am making these based off just, you know, team wise, the meta, and just overall how, you know, how good the unit is as well, and individual kit wise. So all those factors are going in, you know, into place. And some of these, you know, I can say that I was a little biased on making some of these picks, but we're gonna look at the number 10th spot. Now, this one's gonna come to a surprise for a lot of people, but I am gonna give that to Goku. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering, Goku, that's a really bold choice. Honestly speaking, I feel like this guy is he's a bit underwhelmed when it comes to like how everyone feels about him. But I feel like he has a solid kit. You know, he's getting plenty of one thing that stands out for him is he's getting plenty of Vanish Restore off his blue card, off his ultimate, off his just, you know, regular like strike and blast cards. It's all in this kit. Now some of it is, you know, required for him to have a unique gauge field, but at the end of the day, he's constantly restoring Vanish Restore. He's giving death buffs to your allies. He's giving many support to your allies. He has a little bit of, you know, disrupt as well in this kit once he props his 50%. But overall, you know, he doesn't feel bad, but I feel like the main issue with him is he's a bit squishy. And when I say that, it's like he doesn't take hits well. I can sit here and say this for a lot of units, like, you know, they don't take hits well, but obviously they're gonna have something to kind of, you know, protect them from that. Either some type of disrupt, kind of, you know, taking into account for that, or depending on their teams, they might have someone to kind of cover for that to keep them from dying so easily. But I feel like he's just a little squishy. His teams, you know, I wouldn't say they're the best, but he does have some options when it comes to team wise. Cell Soldier is obviously one of them. You know, you can throw him on Sun Fam, you can throw him on a Pure Saiyans team if you want to. You know, there's some options out there to Sun Fam. There's a lot of Sun Fam here in this list, so, you know, obviously you can throw him on that. That's probably one of his better teams, but I feel like he's worthy, you know, the top 10 in that 10th spot. Don't see him moving into the top 5 anytime soon. Now, coming in at the number 9th spot, I am going to give that to Majin Vegeta. Now, we all know, you know, I feel like this guy, he hasn't left the meta. You know, with the recent, you know, abundance of blues with, you know, 17, these guys have been around. We also have the Diamond Goku, who just came, you know, not too long ago. He's kind of making his appearance back into the meta. We already know what this guy does. He has the counter gauge with the blast cards, basically guaranteeing a free hit. AoE greens, absurd things, you know, with his endurance. He has endurance, which is insane. He has a lock-in ult, so he has, you know, that's not even, you know, most of it, but we pretty much know what this guy does and why a lot of people hated him. And I hate, you know, if you don't like him, then, you know, I'm sorry, but he's on the list. He's at the number 9 spot. He is a little bit, I would say, you know, the Reds are still in the meta, obviously. You know, that Cell. I do see Diamond Goku sometimes Gotenks. They still have some usage in them. So with the blue Goku, obviously, you know, he kind of tames down a lot of these red units being popped in, you know, that's been popping up in the meta. But I do love him at the number 9 spot. That's where I'm going to keep him. So coming in at number 8 for me, I have to give that to Majin Ku. Now Majin Ku, I feel like it's a really solid spot because I feel like he's deserving of it because the amount of stuff that they gave this one unit, and I think he's just a support unit. He kind of feels like that centerpiece for the Diamond team because he's giving 50% to his allies, and that's if you're Diamond allies, so that's the full 50% to them. On top of that, he has all these different disrupts with poison, I believe bleed. He also has faint as well. So it's a lot going on, right? He can restore his vanish on his green card. I don't know if it's a limited amount of times, but I know that you can use it a couple times, so it might be unlimited. But I know on his green card, he's restoring health, he's restoring his vanish. Pretty annoying. He has some disrupt as well whenever he tags in. He's taking away some key, I believe a card or two. So this guy, like I said, he's a centerpiece. He's giving support. He's giving some disrupt on, and with the whole Diamond team itself, there's a lot of healing going on. This guy, with Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, there is a lot of healing going on. So if you ever played with them, this team, or even if you don't have Ku, if you play with Du, there's still a lot of healing going on because Du has endurance as well. So that's another protection on your team if you don't have Ku instead. So I love him at that spot. He has some solid options, obviously. You can pretty much put him on any team that involves Daima. So, any combination of characters from Daima, like this Super Saiyan Goku, you have Ku, it's kind of limited, I would say. You still have Tama Diamond 3, who he's an option as well for a purple unit. So, yeah, I love him at that spot right there. We're going to leave him at that. Now, number 7 coming up, we're going to give that to Mr. MVP 17, which seems like, I feel like some people are going to say something about it, which is fine. Everyone is, you have your own opinion about it. I love him at this spot because with his recent plat, 17 feels sort of like when he first released, he is the centerpiece of the team that brings it together, that sticks it together like glue. So this guy, with his plat, it just makes him overall just a bit better. They gave him some buffs on it, to his unique gauge. He's getting more like sustainability, or I believe his sustained damage cut is one of those. But I noticed that he's getting, an insane amount of stuff on that little plat. Overall in his kit though, he's giving support to allies, androids, universe rep. Now obviously androids is going to be his best team, especially paired alongside Cell. So now that team is starting to, come back from the ground up because of this guy and Cell, just those 2 units alone. So I love it. He has a good amount of utility. He has endurance. His ult can hit pretty hard now. If you have his unique gauge prop, with his unique equipment as well, it does give him a little bit more buffs to that as well. So has a lot of things going on for him. He has some decent stuff in his kit as always. When he first released with the uni rep team, just magnificent, right? So them giving him a plat, I feel like it's debatable. I don't feel like I would move Ku to the number 7 spot because I just feel like overall though, MVP has a little bit more going. Now Ku does have more stuff in his kit, but 17 wise, I feel like he needs to be at that spot. I love that spot for him. So yeah, we're moving on to the number 4 through 6 spots. So at number 6, I am going to give that to the transforming Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, there isn't a crazy amount of purples to threaten this guy in the meta. There's a lot of like countering going on in this meta in general. But hear me out. Now, at number 6 spot, right? This guy doesn't have anything that makes him stand out too crazy. Obviously he can combo forever. He can restore his vanish once you pop his transforming. Once you have his unique gauge, obviously full. So long as your unique gauge full, he can restore his vanish twice. So that's on his first time transforming, then his second time that he pops his main ability. Overall, he just feels like a solid all around character. He does have a little bit of disrupt, I believe, in his kit somewhere. He can combo, like we all know it. This guy, he's like VB. He's like VB 2.0. he just combos. He combos and combos, and put him on the right teams. You know, you can obviously put him with Majin Saga. That's a solid team you can rock him with. You could put him on Sun Fam. Like I said, Sun Fam has a good amount of options. So depending on who you want to mix with that, he has some pretty good options for team wise. And overall, like I said, there isn't a crazy amount of purples. Obviously, you're going to probably see these guys more than, you know, it Goku. You're going to see Do more because Daima is just that popular right now. So Do is probably your most number one option. But guess what? This guy is unaffected by any of those, you know, like debuffs. So no paralyze or paralysis, whatever you want to call it. No bleed, no poison, none of that. So this guy is unaffected by all of that. And that is golden. That is golden right now because, like I said, Ku, man, that guy, he's poisoning you, you're bleeding. So, and then he has paralysis. This guy also has paralysis as well. But so it's a lot going on with Daima, you know, with them being those two disrupt characters. But he's unaffected by all of that. So that is another key thing I love to see. And overall, I love him at that spot. So we're gonna move it to number 5th spot. And that one is gonna go to Beast Gohan. You know, I feel like this might feel like a surprise for some people, but I feel like Gohan, you know, he isn't top 3 anymore, but I feel like he's still in that, just barely in the top 5, because while it may be, you know, you see a lot of these red units like I mentioned, you know, you're not going to see them a lot because this guy is out here one-shotting red units on blue cards. So while you will see red units, more than likely they'll probably run a green unit alongside them. But if they can't, you know, this guy right here, you get the right situation, he's one-shotting them. Beast Gohan, we know the story about him. We know how his kit worked. Insane, you know, just this guy can combo. He can also have the Rise and Rush counter as well. And then he also has the mechanic with the special beam cannon. So, you know, when it's popped at the right time, that's pretty much a guaranteed kill. Ultimate hits pretty hard. He has some other gimmicks going on in this kit as well. He can combo pretty well, but I wouldn't say, you know, he's gonna out combo Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But obviously, he has some good things. I believe, I could be wrong, I don't remember, but I believe he does have endurance as well. So now I could be wrong with that because it's been a while since I used them, you know, but I'm pretty sure he has endurance as well. Same as, you know, Majin Vegeta, but he has some good teams as well when it comes to team wise. You can still run him on hybrids. That's still doable. Obviously, Sagas from the movies might not be his best team right now, since, you know, Sagas it's in a little bit of an iffy state. So it's, you know, his top 2 teams are probably going to be either, you know, hybrids, Sun Fam, or you can put him just in the leader slot and just run him on a team of your choice. That is always an option as well. But at the end of the day, when you're running into these annoying purples like them, you know, IT Goku, like I said, he's a little less likely, but when you run into them, you know, his ultimate also has an AoE damage, so it can pretty much one-shot them. So at the end of the day, I love him at that spot. Now we're gonna move on to the number 4th spot, and it's gonna go to Vegeta. I feel like normally I felt like I was gonna rank him maybe like at the number 6 spot or number 5 spot, but that was before we got all this, you know, different Daima units, because at first it was kind of just him, you know, it was just kind of just him, you know, and it didn't feel like he was all that good because a lot of people were talking about it. He didn't feel that good. He overall wasn't all that great, but with the addition of, you know, you got Do, you got Ku, you got Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku, he feels better. He feels way better. He fits in the team a little bit. He can he has some, you know, I believe he has covering all, you know, whenever he enters the battlefield. His ult, I wouldn't say it hits too hard, but it definitely does hit hard. Overall, I can't say anything about this unit. All I can say is there's some things he's missing in his kit that make him better. And people were saying he feels like a glass cannon as well. So, you know, he is a bit better on his team with new units, but overall he isn't a bad unit per se. So I love just him at this spot. You know, I know I didn't do a lot of explaining on that. You know, I know somebody's gonna say something about it, but it's okay. It's all right because I don't remember this guy's kit off the top of my head because it just confused me. So we're just gonna move on to the top 3. But number 3 spot, I believe I'm gonna give that to Go Trunks. And you know, it's crazy because I got shafted on this banner, my favorite unit in the game. You know, Future Gohan's on there, and people were saying they were not a top 5 unit 2 months ago when I put this on here, and it was like, hey, it's okay. You know, that's your opinion. I feel like they're still a top 3 unit. They're a top 5 unit. Their usage and their value is definitely up. Because not only can you put them on Sun Fam or Vegeta Clan, you know, you can put them on Future. The Future is still a solid option as well, team-wise. They got the, I wouldn't call it the combat mechanic. I don't know what they called it, but basically you come back as a solo character instead of these two. So somewhere, you know, it's kind of like a revival, just a little bit different. But they do have that, you know, obviously that's really big because it's uncancelable. So you can pretty much, you know, take a Rise and Rush, you can take an ultimate, and you won't die, pretty much. You'll just come back as a secondary life. And they have some good gimmicks in their kit I love. Overall, we know what they do, so I don't want to explain it too much. But yeah, these guys, they can pretty much get up there with the damage. Put them on the right team, right setup. They can shred. They can shred. Obviously, they don't really take hits too well. I feel like once they go to their post, you know, when Trunks is transformed to Super Saiyan. But other than that, I feel like they're good. Don't leave them right there. So coming in at the number 2 spot, don't get that to Ultra Cell. Now I feel like this guy is deserving of that at the very least. When this guy released, he was definitely, I think, what, the number 1 unit in the game. Obviously before Goku released, because you know he's always the one that's going to be a number 1. But with Cell, still good. You know, still very, very good. I didn't pull this unit when I first summoned for him, so I can't say a whole lot. I have played against him, but I know for a fact from those matches that I played against him, you know, on those different setup of teams, yeah, the guy is insane. He has endurance. I don't know how his unique gauge kind of works, but I know that it works in a way where, you know, it fills up a certain way. Overall, the guy's damage is insane. He has, like I said, MVP 17 to back him up on his team. So if he has 17, you know, especially giving him them damage buffs, the guy shreds. The guy's ultimate hits hard, okay? And then when you think about it, he has endurance. You got double protection, pretty much. So I call that a W at the end of the day. You always want to have at least one on your team. Cell just feels like one of those units where he does have he has some type neutral in his kit as well, but I don't think it's enough to keep him from, you know, always getting one shot by this guy. Because I see it a lot, you know. If you had this guy right here and you pop that ultimate or that blue card, his blue card hits like a truck. Now speaking of Diamond Goku, he's you know, the number 1 unit on his list, so we're gonna talk about him. Obviously Daima is it's his best team. We all know that. Now obviously you can put him on a different team. The only downside to that, you won't get his indestructible, I believe that's what it's called. So at the end of the day, that's fine, as long as you're putting him along someone that can kind of rise and rush protect or protect you from an ultimate. I love him at the number 1 spot, because besides that, he has some good stuff in his kit. Now besides his blue card, which I said hits like a truck, because he gets so much special move damage. He can also restore his restore, what is it called, advantage restore on there. So that's a plus. And then in addition to all that, you know, he has the indestructible whenever he's on Daima. Overall, this guy kind of, you know, he feels kind of like Ku. Now I know Ku is like the centerpiece, but he's like the big piece, the team piece that kind of puts the team together. Because even though Vegeta, I have him in the top 5, he wouldn't be complete without this guy. Because this guy overall, he has the damage, he's stacking on his cards, he has some other gimmicks going on in his kit as well. He has I'm trying to think what is it called, but he does have like the cover change. That's what I was thinking about. He has uncancelable cover change, I believe, or special cover change notification. I believe that's what it's called. It's pretty late for me, guys, so you know, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of this stuff, but yeah, he has that, and he also has the blast and the strike double change. That's always useful. That's what I was thinking about. It's uncancelable, so if you use it and it doesn't activate because you know they have special double change notification, it doesn't count. That's what it said in this kit. So you know, that's something I feel like is a bit, I wouldn't say overpowered, but I like it. You know, it's not, he doesn't feel too toxic. He feels all around just great. Same thing with Gohan. You know, you guys kind of know what he does. By this point, you guys kind of know what he does as well. So overall, you know, him on the Diamond team, he's gonna absolutely just, you know, it's not gonna look good if you're not bringing the right units to that matchup. Now, a replacement, right? We're gonna look at the honorable mentions now. Now, so far, I want everyone to just say, you know, do you like the list or you don't? At the end of the day, that's fine if you don't. You know, just let me know what would you put different, because I love to hear everyone's opinions and what you guys would put different in some of these pieces for this top 10. But honorable mentions, I'm gonna make this quick. I'm not gonna put them in a certain order, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the potential ones. Because if you've been an OG, you know, in Dragon Ball Legends, you probably know what the potential ones look like in honorable mentions. Now, I'm not gonna put them in a certain, you know, certain order because it's all honorable mentions. I'm not gonna explain too much. We all obviously know, you know, if you like Do better, then he could be at the number 10 spot for some people. But I feel like Do on the Diamond team is like the last option that you would use instead of Ku or Vegeta, you know, or this guy. You know, if you don't have Do, this Diamond Goku right here is still good. You know, he's gonna be a perfect counter for whenever you see maybe Ku, maybe Majin Vegeta, maybe Beast. They're gonna be in the meta somewhere along, you know, somewhere. I like Gotenks. You know, he has some good demons in this kit as well. He has endurance. Overall, he has some other stuff that I don't want to explain too much, but overall, just having endurance is already a plus in this meta as well. Zamasu, I like him as well, you know, on the Future team. Future feels a bit, you know, it's not the worst team, but I would definitely say that it isn't as up to par as it was at first. But with Rose and Zamasu on the same team, you know, it's definitely a doable team. It definitely feels better. I have Rose here because a higher star Rose with his new his plat equip that he got not too long ago, he feels great. He feels pretty good. And maybe that's me, you know, just being biased to say that, but I love it, you know. But I would say only a higher star Rose, so maybe like, I don't know, maybe 8 stars or higher, 10 stars or higher. So Goku, I would have had him on here, but I don't know. Currently right now with how everything's going, I love Rose a little bit more, and these will be our potential list right here. Hopefully, you know, I love Gohan. He gets a Zenkai pretty soon. Hopefully Hit gets a plat. Hopefully this guy gets a Zenkai or maybe a plat. Same thing for same thing for this guy right here. Hopefully he gets a plat soon. I don't think he got a plat, so I'm gonna hope he gets a plat, because this was a unit that was really hyped for a lot of people. A solo Super Vegeta LF, and they just fumbled, and I didn't like that, because it's just like if you try to use this unit right now, it doesn't feel like he should even be in the meta right now. It feels like he's just outclassed in a lot of ways, and I don't like it. So hopefully they do something with that. Hopefully they do something with Vegito. I would absolutely love it. You know, if you've been on here for a while, favorite character at number 1 and the 2s up here. But I like this list. You know, I feel like if there's anything that I would change, probably personally, you know, you probably, if you wanted to, you could probably switch Do and Majin Vegeta, maybe put him at the 8th spot. But that depends on your personal, you know, tier list. But this is what I like currently for the meta. I got this right here, IT Goku at number 10. It's, you know, arguable for Do, but I just feel like IT Goku had a little bit more going on for him. Even though Do does have the better team, but his only team really is Daima. So, yeah. But with that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. A bit lengthy today. Let me know personally down below what you would, rank your top 5. We'd love to see it. We'd love to hear it. That being said, though, as always, everyone have a blessed day. It's your boy JB. I'm out.